Starting now.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Thanks for coming today. Those of you who don't know me, my name's Tamara Fox. I have asked you here today to help me with one of my units to complete my training and assessors course, which I'm currently studying. That unit is to develop and design assessment tools so that we can assess where students are at with regards to their learning. I'll just go through a couple of little housekeeping rules before we get going. Just with regards to COVID regulations, we're all sort of practicing that at the moment. Please keep your mask on. Try and keep our distance apart if we can. There's some hand sanitizer on the table. Before you go anywhere or touch anything, please use that. We also have emergency exits. One's out this way. If you follow that door around to your left, there's a door there. There's also a door back where you came in. So if in case of an emergency, we will use those exits. Just walk out there calmly. We'll meet in the car park where you parked your car. Okay. If anyone's hot or cold, please let me know. We'll turn the aircon on or heating on if you need that. The toilet is out where you came in. There, you would have walked past a big freezer. If you follow it around, that's where the toilet is. I am a first aid officer. If you're feeling unwell or need first aid for any reason, please contact me and we will deal with that. Please turn off your mobile phones or turn them to silent if you haven't already done so. No. And if you need to ask for clarification at any time on any question, please just pop your hand up and let me know that you have a question. So what I've given you today is a folder with 3 what we call units of competency. Units of competency are assessments that the government give us guidelines and we choose for whatever course, so it's related to where I work, which is equine podiatherapy, so they're all equine units, and all of you here have some experience with horses, so that's why I suppose I've asked you to come and help be part of this. So inside your folders, 3 units of competency. If you look inside the first one, you will see is carry out basic hoof care procedures. If you open up the first page, there'll be a little a thing that looks like this. That's the elements and performance criteria, so that'll run through what's actually required of the unit, and then after that is another one that has assessment requirements written on it. So if you go past that one, there's assessment requirements. So that has what the evidence we want to see the students be able to perform, and also their knowledge of that as well. So we have to make our assessment tools, our tasks that we use to check the students' learning with, according to these 2 documents. We need to make sure that we check off on all of those when we plan our assessment tools. The next thing that you'll find after that will be evaluation checklist for learners, which looks like this. That's what I would can ask you all if you would please fill in for each unit of competency. It's 2 pages, just a front and a back. It runs through a list of questions about the assessment tool that you'll look at. So things like, did you think it was supportive of people with special needs? Did you understand questions? Did you think the level of difficulty was appropriate for a diploma, which is what I've based these on? OH&S, were they things included in the documents, and so on and so on. I'll let you read through those before we finish, and if you have any questions on those, you can ask me about that then. So that's what I'd ask if you could fill in for me. Mm-hmm. Then if we move on to the wider tabs, it's got assessment 1, 2, 3, and the last unit goes down to 6. Most of them are 3 or 4 assessment tasks. In there will be what we call an assessment task for each unit. So that's what we're going to check that the students have check them off on to see if they've learned what we need them to learn. So that's our questions, our testing of all the students. Behind each one of those, you'll also find instructions to assessors. Sorry, I think that's the first page, which runs through how we want the assessors to test the students, the OH&S that they need to tell the students, the time that it's going to take for the students to complete the assessment, what it actually is, like a little summary about what it is, how we're going to assess them, the assessment questions that they might results, and so on. So that's a little bit of an instructions to assessors there. Then there is also a marking guide, which is the answers to the task that we've set the students. And then there is also a competency mapping. Now, I'll explain a little bit about the mapping. The mapping looks like this. It's competency mapping. Some of them are in the middle, some of them are at the back of the unit. It is where I go back to those initial units of competency, our assessments and our performance criteria guidelines, and I mark off each question according to these little points in here. So you'll have a performance, what we call a performance, or here, performance evidence. So this is what we need to look at that the students can do. So we'll actually need to assess them at doing something. So for this one in particular, they have to have evidence of handling at least 3 different horses. So I will say, well, this question relates to this point here, which is carrying out basic risks prior to each activity. So that's my little checklist to say, yep, I've ticked them all off. These questions relate to these competencies in these 2 documents here. Okay, so that, I suppose, explains a little bit about it. Has anybody got any questions about what we're doing?
No.
So what I'll ask, if you can read through those documents and then go through the evaluation checklist. While you're reading through them, if you want to, you know, if you see any spelling mistakes, you see something that you think doesn't sound right to you, it doesn't make sense, please write on the document itself and say, well, this is what I think would need to be changed. This doesn't make sense to me. And same with the answers. If you think an answer's like way off the path, let me know about that too. So it's just got to make sense to you, and if it doesn't make sense to you, I need to know that so then I can change those documents when you've given me back those checklists, and I can hand that in with my assessments, the change documents. So I suppose the whole purpose of getting you guys to do this for me is basically that, to make sure that they make sense, that they're going to test people and they're going to help people that have special requirements or needs. I've covered off the sort of ticks that I meant to cover off, and that's where those questions on the evaluation checklist come in. So you should hopefully have enough evaluation checklists for each assessment. You don't need to do them now, of course. It might take you a little while to go through them, so go through them in your own time. And if you can then pass them back to me, that would be really appreciated. And that would help a lot.
So we're doing
an evaluation checklist for each assessment.
For each one.
Yep. So the little long skinny tabs are where each new unit of competency starts, and the pink, the coloured tabs, the big ones, are each assessment for those units. So you'll see there's blue for one, there's pink for another, and there's green for another. So all those will be in different colours. So hopefully, yeah, that makes some sense. Yep. You certainly just let me know if they make sense or not. You may want to refer back to the unit of competency. You may not. It doesn't really matter. It's just going through those assessments and making sure that I've included stuff that I should. Like I noticed this morning I hadn't included page numbers on one of them. So things like that. That would be awesome. Any further questions or answers?
No.
Thank you guys.
Okay.
And we'll leave it at that. We'll get started.
Beautiful.
Turn that off.